Okay, Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening to everyone that is currently watching our webinar. Hope you guys have had your dinner before enjoying for our session today. So hereby I am Nur Alia Shazwani, accompanying with my partner.
Here is Zainura.
Alright, so KRKHS communication student as your moderator for tonight webinar. So for tonight, we will be discussing something knowledgeable and uniquely interesting method that to act we are in collaboration with the organization itself known as Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Albinism Association KLSAA, and you guys will know more about it later. So I want you guys to stay tuned to this webinar to find out more about the method that we had and the guests that we'll be discussing. And thank you for watching. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Alia. Before we go any further, Alia, let me introduce to both of our special guests today. We have here with us Dr. Maishiha binti Abdullah, a former associate professor at University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, as well that will accompany us throughout the webinar is Ms. Maizan Saleh, a president and a founder of Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Albinism Association that Alia have mentioned briefly just now to share with us their thoughts and personal experiences regarding the issue that we'll be discussing. So, all right, first and foremost, Ms. Maizan, can you introduce a little bit of yourself and what you do for a living and how was your Idul Fitri?
Okay. Hello, salam sejahtera. Assalamualaikum. Hi everybody. Hi Zainura, Alia, and Dr. Manshiha, which I fondly called her Auntie Shiha. Hello everybody for tuning in. Okay, I'm Maizan. Thank you so much for arranging this, Zainura and Alia. I really appreciate it. And Selamat Hari Raya. I hope it's not too late to wish everyone. Okay. I'm the president and also the founder of the Albinism Association in Malaysia. Although it is KL and Selangor based, we do have members all around Malaysia. So that's the society. As for me, personally, I have my businesses. Okay, I've got two businesses. I also graduated from IIUM. It's good to be back and to be speaking to my alma mater. By profession, I'm a qualified lawyer. I have my own firm, and I'm also into security guarding business, which I am also the business owner. So that's briefly what I do. I'm from Kuala Lumpur. Okay, but my parents are from Kelantan. So yeah, that's a bit about me. So as we go along, you'll get to know more about me.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Maizan, for the introduction. Selamat Hari Raya, Ms. Maizan. It's nice knowing you and meeting you. I'm so grateful for you to be our guest for today's matter. So by the way, we also have an important guest here to discuss this topic in depth for the professional point of view. So let us welcome Dr. Maishiha. Doctor, can you please introduce a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, at last we are on air. After we have arranged it for the past 2 months and with all not really obstacles, but this is actually a good time for us to be on air. Yeah? As Zanura mentioned earlier, that I'm actually a former and ex-associate professor from University Pendidikan Sultan Idris in Tanjung Malay. I'm just retired about more or less a month ago. Yeah. So yeah, being a lecturer, I'm more into research. Yeah. So actually, albinism is one of my research, but that was 20 years ago. So I've left this discipline for quite some time because starting from 2010 onwards, I focus more on allergy work. Yeah, so I'm actually we call it environmental biotechnologist, right? So, but how
Oh,
do I actually dwell into this? Because I do have a family history of albinism, where I have actually two sisters who are also PWA, yeah, person with albinism, which is my eldest sister and also my youngest sister. And Maiza is just like a family to me because she also in touch with two of my sisters. Yeah. So that's why we actually have we are actually brothers and sister connected with albinism due to albinism. Right? Okay.
yes, yes.
Oh.
That's
So
why
you guys like
I
have been
yeah.
so you
Sorry,
guys have been
continue.
knowing each other for a really long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
almost
Very
like I know her since she was kid.
Oh,
yes. Yes. And before the NGO was set up, I've already known her, and she is one of the backbone that actually helped us in establishing KLSAA. So she's very instrumental to us. She's
Oops. Oops.
oh,
Oh,
Oh my god.
oh.
right. Never mind. So I just need to
Right.
continue
Yeah.
from that point of view.
Yeah, yeah, sure,
Right.
sure.
So we happen to be connected again. Ah, she's back. She's
Are
back.
we?
She's
Hopefully that
back.
she's back. All right.
Okay, are we back?
Okay, you are back.
Are you
Okay.
alright, Miss Helen?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm not
Please
a
continue.
gadget person.
It's fine. It's fine, Miss Helen.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You can proceed, Miss Isaac or Doctor Mai. You were talking about
All right. So
yeah.
yeah, we set up. No, I mean, we have our own role to play, right? Because
Yeah.
Maizan's supposed to be the one with the syndrome or PWA, and I was the researcher, right? So I was given a certain amount of monies to conduct, and the first thing for us is actually to get connected to a PWA. So therefore, we handle the prevalence study, and then we like to know about their academic status, their social, economic status, and what's supposed to be the perception of the pigmento or the normal people upon them. So that's for therefore I think that we are actually complement to one another. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we now
Mm-hmm.
so we know now the story of how KSAA is built and all.
Mm-hmm.
So really,
Interesting.
we really have a great
Mm-hmm.
speakers today. So everyone needs to hear the interesting input from you guys. So thank you for joining us
Yeah.
today. So what are we going to talk about today, Zai?
So, what are we going to talk about tonight? It's going to be very interesting as what briefly introduced by Dr. Mai about persons with albinism. What we're going to sorry, what we're going to talk about tonight is disability inclusion, the perspective of persons with albinism and the public. But before that, let me enlighten you guys about the matter of a person with albinism. So if there's any facts of that I'm wrong, please correct me, Miss Maizan or Dr. Masha. So albinism is an
Sure.
so albinism is an inherited genetic condition that reduces the amount of melanin pigment formed in the skin, hair, or eyes. So the two principal types of albinism that is known in humans are oculocutaneous affecting the eyes, skin, and hair, and ocular affecting the eyes only. And albinism knows no boundaries and occurs in all racial and ethnic groups of people throughout the world that can affect nearly everyone and anything. So now you guys have a brief introduction from me about it. So I'm not a professional, so you guys must stay tuned. Must stay tuned. So you guys need
Yeah.
to watch. But merely the fact that I'm
It's almost
presenting.
like Maizan. It's almost like a complete definition, isn't it?
Really? Oh,
Yes.
I am that is such an honor to receive and compliment. But yeah, but for me, it's not enough. It's not really not enough. So we're going to be discussing this with our guests to learn the truth regarding this matter from both perspective, from Miss Maizan and our associate Prof. Dr. Mashiha. All right. First and foremost, um, Dr. Mai and Miss Maizan, I would like to get both of our guests' perspective on opinion regarding persons with albinism. So we can start with Miss Maizan. Well, first and foremost, thank you very much again, Miss Maizan, for joining and being a guest for today. So, well, Miss Maizan, um, do you mind sharing a bit about yourself as a person with albinisms and how you live your life, what you do for a living, and yeah, and all.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, I think like Auntie Shah said, you've defined it clearly. Okay, but most of us, they're like me. Okay, they have albinism, which affects the skin, the eyes, the entire being of us. And the ones that are rare are the ones yang only have uh, albinism in the eyes. So I'm full albinism, someone with full albinism. So what does it entail, living with albinism? Albinism means to me, if you asked me like when I was studying in IIUM, it would be different. But for me now, it's because of the lack of pigment that our eyes are not developed properly. And many people do not know this because, yeah, people don't know because I wear glasses, but people don't know I still can't see. So we have very low vision, which cannot be corrected from birth. So what is so our problems? I wouldn't say problems. It's just a condition that we have to endure since small, where we are not able to see clearly. So when we're not able to see clearly, we cannot even see far clearly and also near clearly. So I use gadgets. So most of us, not everyone, because everyone is different. So since I was small, I mean when I was in secondary school, I have gadgets to help me see. So if you want, I'll just show what I have.
Yeah, yeah, can
This
you
is
show? Yeah.
Okay, this is the bigger one. It's a magnifier. Okay,
Mhm.
this one helps me read. So this one is always with me when I go out from the house when I travel. So and there's another one. This is also this one is better than the other one, because this one the power is greater. But because it has legs, this is like I think the how many the how many kanta that I have. I think it's this one part. This one like broke. And sometimes when I used to bring this outside, because I travel a lot by train, so I sometimes tend to sit on it, so it breaks, and it's quite difficult to actually get it back on. Another gadget that I use, I mean, this is just to let you guys know that because we cannot see well, we cannot improve our eye condition by normal glasses, like 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 the rest without albinism. They can just go to any optometrist, they get their glasses with powers on, and then they can see. But not for us. Even with my glasses on, it only helps a bit of the vision. So on top of my glasses, I've got to use the magnifiers that I have. These are called handhelds, and this one are mini telescope. This mini telescope is to see far, to see like the lecture board, the bus numbers. So these are what I use. So
So
to me, living with albinism is to actually live creatively. Yeah. So like it's to live beyond what other people live. Like for example, if like people with albinism can use a car to drive them around from A to B, then people like me, I take Grab a lot. So yeah, so it's and then people say, how do you read? How do you get to class? So there's so many uh, things in another way that we have to do and put in more effort to get to what others achieve. So yeah.
so yeah, may I ask about the tools? Like, do you bring all of them together, or do you have any special? Do you have the one that you are favorite with?
Oh, okay, yeah. The this one I normally put it at home or my office. This one,
Mhm.
it's like I'm supposed to fix this, so It's so, but yeah, it always drops every time I use this. It will like it drops, but
Oh.
you know, at least there's some humor to doing things. This one I put in my bag when I travel. So when I because it's more level. There's no legs, and this
Mm.
one the mini telescope is just like the normal telescope. This is how I use. Let me
Oh.
see. Okay, this is how I use it. So okay, so
Oh.
like for now, when I see the three of you, including me, the four of me, I'm not able to see. I can see like heads, heads, and I'm sure you've got beautiful faces, but I'm not able to see whether you've got pimples, if you have, so your faces are
That will
very
be
flawless.
fortunate for us. That will be very fortunate for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, so, like to me, all of you are flawless and beautiful. So if you got like
Oh.
yeah, so, so
Like,
that's how,
so may I like? Is it okay for me to ask? Like, is the tools, is it expensive? Like, what is the prices, the range prices of the each tools?
oh, it cost a bomb. Not so much before. This one I bought I think about 10 years ago. 10 years ago would be about 500. Right now would be about this one I just checked during Ramadan, which is bulan puasa month last month. It's now costs about 1,000 ringgit. This one,
The
this
small
teeny,
one? Oh.
yes, 1,000. 1,000, yeah. I have a few of this because I'm kind of clumsy, right? So I always sit on this. This is my best friend, so I always sit on this magnifier. So I have about I think two or three at home. I think last month I went to low vision clinic in apa, UKM. So there was a stock about 100 ringgit. So I bought it immediately because otherwise it's 1,000 ringgit. And this one before was about 500 ringgit because I wanted to go think somewhere. I think I wanted to perform my umrah, so I needed something small because yeah, so that I could read. And this one would cost I think about one plus Antisha. And
Yep,
this
yep.
one used yeah, this one used to cost about I think less than 500, but now could be about 1,000 plus. Yeah, it's very
Mhm.
expensive
That's
because
right.
it yeah, it's not the magnifiers where you can simply buy from the supermarket. No, not that one. This one are special lenses for low vision. Yeah.
Oh, so there's
Yeah.
actually like power to it. There's actually.
Yeah. They
Oh.
come in different power, we call it. Yeah, so it
Oh,
can
Yeah,
right.
be like how many magnification that you would like to have. Is it two times, five times, right? It actually depends on your visual acuity. How good is your vision? You can actually
Oh.
there will be a certain range. Yeah. So
Oh.
it's just
yeah,
not something like the one in your dissection set. Remember those days
Yeah,
when you did
yeah.
your
The
balance
one that you.
dissection set?
The one
So
that
that
we
is not of
play.
that kind of
Yeah, we
thing.
used to play with when we were kids.
So
It's not. It's not the same.
it costs 10 ringgit,
yeah,
but not this.
That cost. Uh, that is so expensive. So
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of sizes. This is one of the bigger ones. Tapi if it's smaller, then obviously the space to read is very small. So the reading is slower because one this is bigger, but the magnification is lower. If it's smaller, the magnification is bigger, but the words that you can capture here is
Oh,
not so
interesting.
much. So I hope by now,
Uh, uh,
um,
Yes.
and continue.
Good. All right.
Um,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
one thing that I would like to add in
mm,
terms of the visual aids, we call it, that is a kind
mm,
of intervention for the visual acuity. Yeah, so yeah, as mentioned earlier, there's no way that they can get their eyes remedied. Yeah, there's no intervention to
mm.
ensure that they have a better vision. So they need to use these intervention kits or tools, we call it. And I think that if you remember well, Maizan, I used to give to my respondent a kind of magnifier in the form of ruler. Yeah, so they
Yes,
move the ruler along the
yeah,
lines while they read. So that's another aid that should be able to enhance a type of intervention for the PWA. Yeah,
Yeah.
but as again, Maizan gave a good description of, although that they do have all these tools, but it also not really it helps, but it won't be at par with the normal person because they have to handle it one way, whereas we don't have to hold any tools. We can straight away read from our text, but they have to
Yeah.
use their other motor skill to move about, and then with that limited space. So therefore that sometimes that they tend to go back because they do have some other problem, nystagmus, and they
Yeah.
have like moving eyes. Okay, if you notice that
Glaring.
they have moving eyes like a pendulum. So it
Oh,
goes right and left, right and left. So
It goes
therefore,
very
that
fast.
might she won't be able to focus sometimes on the person. And people might think that
oh,
she didn't give a proper
Yeah.
attention to someone who's speaking to her, right? So being that with the pendulum eyes, sometimes that when they finish reading one line, but the moment that their eye move to the other end, so as though they are repeating their text. So that really slow down
oh,
their reading. Right?
oh,
So it's not about eyesight. It's not about low vision, and
oh.
they do have some other issues regarding their eyes. Right?
So,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
Mm-hmm.
actually
I
I
hope
want
this
to ask about
enhance the
that,
knowledge.
Rizan. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So I want to ask about this. So
Mm-hmm.
in conjunction to this matter, the problems with the vision problems, what what bothers you the most about having this, or do you have any other health related problems? Like, do you need to go through any appointments, clinical appointments, doctor? Yeah.
okay. Antisha, you want to answer or do you want me to answer?
Go ahead.
Um,
I'll
both
top up
can, both can. Yeah,
wherever that you live. All
both
right.
can. It's
Okay.
You go ahead,
Okay.
Maizan. It's
Okay.
about you. Mm-hmm.
With albinism, if we have other medical issues, it's like so many other people. If, for example, albinism can have eczema, albinism can have. It depends on that particular half of the person. Okay, but like Antisha mentioned, apart from the eyes, we cannot stand bright lights, the glare of the sun, so our eyes tend to close very much. Sometimes like most of us like will really close, you know. So sometimes like for example when I was in IIUM, I stayed in one of the colleges which is nearer to the law school, Nusaiba. I don't know whether you guys know. So
you know.
normally when it's like really hot, I would just close my eyes and walk down, and I'll just hold my friends. Okay, it's to
Mm-hmm.
that extent. So the glasses normally would have tinted transition. So that's
Transition.
one. Yeah, but I would love to explain that on top of all this, I hope we can come to a question when you ask me that, how do you get through life with all this condition? So medically, if you ask me, it's just the condition that we have to adapt and be creative about it when we study or we work or do anything. Okay, that's one. So we don't go through any appointments medically. So that's why I refuse to say that we're patients. We
Right.
just have condition, yeah, that we've got to adapt. And my motto is to live creatively. I'll share with you how I go about doing things in the
All
time
right.
to come.
Right.
Okay. So
Okay. Again, I
Yeah.
am always the nasi tambah. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Very
Sure,
interesting.
sure.
Fine with it because I would love to. I mean, let Maiza, because this is how she feel, how she adapt
Mm,
herself. Yeah. But as a scientist who actually research on that, I only observe. Right. So I make conclusion based on my observation. But the one who actually live with albinism is them. Right. So now, she pinpoint of having what we call it photophobia. Photophobia means afraid, phobia means afraid, terrified, or photo means light, right? So that's why she
mm,
mentioned about she's having problem with glaring and also the sunlight. Remember the first time when you define about albinism, it's about lacking of melanin. Okay, and we are
Mhm.
quite fortunate if we are brown, if we are a bit not fair, because God give us extra protection to our cell, which is the melanin that give us colors. Yeah, sometimes they are very cheeky. They call us pigmento, whereas they are they are people with albinism, and they call us people with pigment. So we are pigmentos to them. Yeah, pigment. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
because
Sometimes it depends
to
on where
clarify,
you live. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
where you live. It's not. It's about okay because we are in humid country. Yeah, and most of us that we are quite protected
Mhm.
compared to those who live in hot or hot countries like
Okay.
Australia. Sometimes it can be like very hot because they do have season, so they do have problem like this blisters on their skin. And I think sometimes when it is quite sticky in Malaysia, our PWA also having of the same problem. Yeah, so you can actually see the dark what we call the dark colors on their skin. Yeah, so they be like black dotted on their skin. That shows that it was previously they have some blisters on their skin. Yeah, so this is actually due to the insufficient of pigment on their skin. So I would like to define a bit on the term. Again, a scientist is talking about terms, all right? Okay. So when you have ocular, ocular means something to do with your eyes. Ocular, yeah. When we have cutaneous, okay, Zanura was having a bit problem when she pronounced the word ocular cutaneous. Cutaneous means cutin. Cutin means skin. Yeah, bila skin is also include hair. Yeah, so therefore they do have like lacking of pigment on their skin, their eyes, including hair, right? So we think that yeah, when I was young, I was a bit jealous of my sisters because they have blonde hair. Compared to me, I'm too dark. They call me katam because being dark in the family, so I'm the katam of the family. But as we grow older, so I noticed that I should be grateful for having the pigment. Right, so I noticed that they do have problem, and from young I know that when they read, they have to ensure that there will be a short distance between the reading material and their eyes. All right.
Yes.
So due
Yeah.
to that, they are also having neck pain, right? Neck pain because when they really need to bend their head to read. At the same time, it also give pain to their back, right? Because they
Yes.
have to bend. Yeah. So it's not about eyes only, but while reading, they also need to make sure that they can read well. So it goes to their neck with some pain, and also their back. Now, so it is just like a never-ending story about them, one after another. So people might look at them as, oh, they are very fortunate because they are the Mat Saleh and Minah Saleh. They look so
Yeah.
pretty, especially when they're kids. Now they are still pretty, but they used to be prettier and more. I mean, it's as for me, when I have my sister, which is younger than me, people always go and gram, yeah, because they look so pretty, yeah. But that's one thing about being the only black among the three girls. All right. Okay, now that's one. Another thing about living with albinism is the stigma or labeling. Stigma or labeling. And in my research, it seems that yeah, sometimes that is about you. When people look at you, it is a very like common thing when something is not really common in our community. So we used to, um, have we focus on them. So like my sister, she wouldn't like to see people looking at her. She think people are
Me
staring at
too.
her.
Me
Yeah,
too. Me too.
yeah.
like, is there any moment that your sister experienced any like person ridicule her?
Yeah, yeah. So that's why that this is therefore they feel that people stigma them. and definitely that she got all the names like orang
Yes.
putih, even hantu, Maizan, even
Oh,
hantu,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Hantu,
these are the
Tiawa.
not so nice names that people around put upon them. So therefore,
Mm,
they try not to be in the community that much. Yeah, they like to be to themselves, and they only have like only few good friends who really understand them well, right? So that stigma. Another thing is being Malay, for instance, or being
yeah.
pigmentos. Definitely that there shouldn't be any white in the family, but somehow or rather, there's white people in our family. So they might steer into or deviate into thinking that something is not right. Adulteration is being done. I mean, what happened to the mother? How come she gave birth to a Mat Saleh or Mina Saleh? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is what another way of stigma or labeling that they have to bear with it along the line. Yeah. So at the moment, those are the not to say the issues, but those are the problem. Or Mazan wouldn't like me to use problem,
Condition.
but those are
No.
the reality that they have to face. Yeah, the reality, and they have to overcome by being creative and also by making people understand of the what we call
Condition.
it gift from God, special gift from God
Yeah.
upon them, because they are strong people and God already chosen them to bear with all these condition, right? Is that right,
Yeah.
Maizan?
Okay. Yes.
But Miss Michael
Yes.
mentioned before that she has the treatments like went to optometrist.
Ah,
Like,
yes.
is it right? Is it regular thing or is like do you have any inquiry about that?
Um, Optometrist. I know. Okay. Actually, the most practical thing is actually to see, your eye doctor, your whoever doctor every year, right? But no, not me. My glasses is more than 10 years old, so I had to go and see Datuk Rokia, who is also passionate,
Oh,
who is an optometrist, because I wanted to see whether there was something wrong with my eyes, because it was quite blurrish. So, treatments or appointments, actually the best would be the more often the better, but like Datuk Rokia, which is our optometrist of advisors, to go and see her once a year, and sometimes our powers increase or reduce. So that's why it's best to go and see. But this not just eyes. Sometimes your dentist, your regular checkups, you would normally go, right? So yeah, but I don't. I mean, I'm a very bad example, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's good to
oh,
go.
yeah, yeah. A part of being PWA, they
mhm.
also have like other illnesses. They're just like a normal people.
Yes,
Yeah, if they
normal
have
Yeah.
other
people.
diseases,
Mm,
not because due to albinism. No, it's just like
yes,
any other people. If you take
Mm,
care of yourself, you'll be healthy. Yeah.
yes,
But I have one thing about them again. This is actually a result of my research. And remember the time when I conduct the allergy test, Maizan?
yes, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
So we try to find out whether they are also having allergies. Yeah. One thing
mm.
about them. Yeah, this is good example of Maizan. Uh, I think she have another best friend which is okay. And
which is
PWA, most they do have pet. So quite normal for them to have allergy
Um,
tenders to cat,
uh,
pet or
so is
hamster,
it just
whatever,
me that
because
that
they are exposed to all these pets. All right, that's one. Another thing of
um
being they love to be in a not so bright room. Am I right, Maizan? Not so bright room because due to the glaring effect on them, so their seems to be quite dim, and the house dust mites, right? It's always
mm,
like
love to have that kind of condition with a high humidity, that they are also allergic to house dust mites. So those are the two top allergy problem faced by the PWA. Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I think food and everything is all depends on their lifestyle. Yeah. How they consume their food. But in terms of environment,
Mm.
these are the two allergy that highly frequent upon people with albinism. Right. Mhm.
Oh, wow, that is interesting. That was so much input.
I
We
think
like,
it
okay.
must be not easy for Miss Maizan, having
Mm.
handling juggling with this kind of condition, having a back pain, and then having the societal stigma with you, and then also the allergy problem, right? So I
Mhm.
think, well, I also ashamed to say this, but well, I struggle in juggling with things with education, but it is truly admirable. All right, so thank admirable for you, Miss Maizan. So isn't it, Zainura?
Yeah, it really is though. Like it's admirable,
Right.
Is it echoing? Is it echoing?
You,
Yeah.
you you haven't heard of
Oh,
how she handle her learning in school.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
We should get to know that
Um.
as well.
So the I mean,
I can
sort of.
say.
When she started off as a primary school,
I'm sorry,
Sorry,
Dr. Mai.
voice
Dr. Mai,
condition.
Dr. Mai. Can you repeat? Because your voice comes ahead.
Connection. Yeah,
So
All
connection
how?
right.
is
Yeah.
When Maizan mentioned just now, it's more towards her university life.
Mm,
But
yeah.
if you would like to
I want
know
to know.
how she went through her primary school, her secondary
No.
school, that is even not to say a worse experience, but I suppose that therefore there are quite a number of dropouts. Yeah, she is one of the
Oh,
most
yeah.
fortunate because she end up to her tertiary education. But how many of them are supposed to be the dropouts because they wouldn't like to have the experience in school, aside of being teased? Yeah, aside from being teased, but at those were the days when teachers are not really alert of the condition faced by PWA. So they always, let's say, if I am the tall one, I should be placed right at the back of the classroom. Remember? So they were
Yes.
struggling with those notes written on the blackboard or even whiteboard, and teachers are
Yes.
don't really understand the condition, so the font might be not good enough for them. So sometimes the kids, they would like to know what's happening right in the front. So they used to walk to the
Yes.
front, and it goes like,
Yes.
oh, they're having discipline problem. They are not good kids. They don't know
Yes.
how to sit still, right? But actually, they are curious to know what's happening in front. Okay,
Mm,
so therefore, the teachers need to know this condition to ensure that they provide some assistance or some aids to the kids beside the intervention too, which is very very expensive.
yeah.
All right, and sometimes like Asfal Fridaus, he's now a PhD holder.
Yes.
What happened to him? Yeah, his parents are quite well-to-do parents, so he has his tools ever since that he's like in standard 4 or standard 5. When he take over his tools to the classroom, the other kids take it as the uh, toys
Mm,
as toys. So they play
Yes.
around with it as toys, and Asfal get the warning from the headmaster saying
mm,
that why are you bringing toys to the school where it's supposed to be his visual aids, all right?
That's it.
So
Yeah.
at those were the days, it's rather difficult to make them understand, even though they are educationists, but there are not so much exposures on how to handle student with albinism. Right, Zanura? Right, Alia?
yeah, yeah. Like true. Yeah, no, like
The
that's
lack of
truly.
awareness regarding the
Yeah.
assistive devices
Mm,
in educational method
mhm,
is, I think, is we can it can be improved, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and we need to highlight about
mhm,
it. Like, and that's why I said
mhm,
it's truly admirable how Miss Maizan live her
mhm,
life, and like for me as well, I
mhm,
am a student. Piling up with assignments, it can be quite stressful and all with club
mhm,
activities. juggling up and all. So it's kind of quite
Mhm.
stressful for me as well. So apatah lagi like miss my son. So it's truly
Oh,
admirable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think
And
All
then
right. Okay.
okay.
Can I add some more on that? All right.
Yeah, sure,
So
sure,
now,
sure.
yeah, the thing is, okay, we think that, oh, she is actually okay with her age. Now that when I mentioned about she may need extra time because she will like jungle with her tools at the same time that she has to make sure that everything in order, or she might tend to be a bit forgetful on that day, on that particular day. She might not bring over her tool. Those things might happen, right? So therefore, as a teacher, yeah, there are a few intervention that you should be able to help them.
Mm,
One is actually by giving them extra time. Yeah,
yes.
Mazan was given this privilege when she was in IIUM, but I are a bit doubtful if she were given of such when she
mm.
sat for her other public examination when she was in primary or secondary school, right?
I
And
did.
another thing is
I
to ensure that
Again.
they are given like big prints, eh?
Oh,
So that
oh,
yeah.
they will give them better reading acceleration. They can actually speed up their reading with a big
so
font. Not
may
too big, not too big, not too small. The normal font for us is 12. So I
yeah.
would recommend for the teachers to make sure that the prints given to
Mm,
the PWA is with font 14. With font 14, yeah? So they will be kind enough to assist them with these two things. Extra time and
yeah.
also bigger print,
So
right?
yeah, I would like to
And
ask about the extra time as well. It must.
as a buddy, my son, I'm sure that she has a good buddy in school that tag along with her. So
Mm,
what I would recommend, if only that a buddy is kind enough to have like you can write your notes and later you can photo stamp or you can actually give whatever material to
yeah,
your people with albinism, because it doesn't cost like millions of ringgit to do that. Yeah,
yeah.
inshallah, it will be a good return from Allah. Yeah, so a buddy
Alright.
system is another good thing. So as a teacher, again, I would say that once you have the student with PWA, ensure that a buddy is given to her. Like for PJ, pendidikan jasmani, there'll be a buddy for her. For science, there'll be a buddy. So that everyone will be the one who understand the conditions faced by PWA. Yeah, it doesn't mean that solely one person to be her buddy. Let everyone in the class know about her
Yeah,
condition.
yeah.
And also, as a parent, yeah, I hope parents are here also. You have to play your role to ensure
Mm-mm.
that when you move from one class to another class, let's say that from standard 1 to standard 2, standard 3, you have to give a special brief to the teachers, especially the class teacher, about their condition. And another thing is when you move from one school to another school. So parents hold certain responsibility to ensure that specific information is given to the school to make sure
Mm-mm.
that they handle their kids well. Yeah, because they have no problem with brain. They are very brainy people.
Yeah.
We have good example. Maizan, Asfa, Huda, I call her Sakura. Who is she? Maizan?
Hannah.
Hannah.
Hannah. Miss Amazing. Hannah. Miss.
These are the things that
Hello.
small things that we can help. Yeah, Alia and Zainura.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay, so I just
So,
want to recap a few things that you have said to us regarding things that can be improved within the
Mhm,
educational field in our country, right? Particularly, so they want to give them extra times in classroom
mm,
and also provide a bigger print for them to
mhm,
use in their class material. So
yeah, yeah.
you
mhm,
guys still with us and our viewers. I hope that everyone is just bear with us because there are many more things to discover and discuss. So stay tuned. All right. So
mhm,
the concept of inclusion is the acceptance of all people regardless of their differences. Right. So it is about appreciating people who they are
mhm,
and their competency rather than how they walk, talk, or even behave,
mhm,
or even their appearance. So as you all know that we live in a society, I think, where there are a beauty standard set by the culture,
Yeah.
but it is not what inclusion is meant as a whole, right, Zenura?
Yeah, so absolutely I agree. And then we see how people are treated when they have this and they are treated that way when they have that. Like sometimes people get ridicule even among the like the smallest things. Like just by having
Mm.
people, some people ridicule that. So regarding that matter of inclusion, right, Miss Maizan, we would like to hear the
Yes.
personal experience of you. Have you ever or are you facing any difficulties when socializing with others or as a Malaysians with albinism? Like how are you treated by people in the society, and do you feel like out of place sometimes or don't fit in with the community? I'm sorry if the questions that sound a bit offensive or.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. I'm quite open. Different stages of my life.
Mm-hmm.
As we mature, as I mature, things are different. When I was small, I must say I do not like to be. I don't like to be me. I didn't like to be white.
Oh,
I even told my dad when I was in standard six. That was when I was 12 years old. I asked my dad to bring me to the Tok Bomo to get me to
oh,
change to to
mm,
to be like other Malays. So it was to that extent. And I was born in the 1976. So obviously then you don't have information wasn't at the click of the finger. So I didn't know what other people were doing. I didn't know how people with albinism were doing. So that was why I started KLSAA, because I wanted to give back. Okay, but that was in primary school. I never did like to go to the villages. I didn't like to go back to my hometown. My parents are from Kelantan. I was born in KL. So when we went back, we did go back to villages, right? So there was this one particular incident. There's so many incidents, but I will share
yeah,
the stages. This one particular incident when I was small, I went to this kampong village, and I we were just waiting for our relatives to come out from the house. And while I was waiting, the whole village came out to just look at me and stare. So
like
so they
legit this time.
yeah they were like just they would be like around me, and they would just like, why is this girl so fair? We're
Oh,
all so brown. Why are you? And they didn't say anything. They were just like, with the small kids, they'll be like carrying. Look at her. Okay, and there was this one time. Okay, that was the primary school. But secondary school was a bit better. But I didn't like to study. I didn't like to study because I couldn't see. I couldn't see what was written on the board. And when I didn't understand, the teachers were angry. Why you're sitting in front? I always sit in front. Why you're sitting in front? You've got glasses, but why can't you understand what I'm trying to teach? The worst was geography. Geography had like small prints. They've got topographies. I
yeah.
don't know what you call that. So I've always did very badly in geography. I didn't like the teachers. Oops, I didn't like the teachers.
You.
I didn't like the subject. And the prints. Although I was given extra time, and I was given I think an A3 paper to sit for my exams. um I used this, and there's an
Oh,
extension dekat bawah. Below there's an extension, so you can go deeper. You can see, because things like this, because topographies maps are very very small.
yeah.
So like, let's say the exam in form 1, form 2, form 3 is 50 minutes. I would be spending just for 5 questions, like for the whole of 45 minutes, and 5 minutes, the rest of the 5 minutes, it would be just like tembak. What do you call that? I'll
Oh,
just
yeah,
shoot
yeah, yeah.
the answer.
Sure, shotgun.
Yeah.
You give a
So,
good
yeah,
shot.
I would shoot the answers, and I would normally get 40, 45. So but yeah, so that was secondary school. But I was in a girls school. The teasing was not so bad, because it's a girls school, it's a convent school. I loved the secondary school better than the primary school, because kalau if I couldn't see the blackboard, I would normally go up front. When I go up front, obviously I would be blocking my friends to copy. So they would say, "Tapi lah," they would just shout at me in front of like the whole class. So I never did like school. But I was fortunate enough to be schooled in America, US, because my parents studied there. So I was there when I was in kindergarten, um, grade one and grade two. So teachers were very friendly. But even then, they didn't understand what albinism is,
Yeah.
because when you wrote something on the green board, it was a green board, there's no blackboard. I
Yeah.
just would
Yeah.
just write I would just write my own story, and when the teachers found out that I wrote what what I wanted to write, I was called up by the headmistress. You can't see, but they were nice. But they offered me normal glasses. So still it didn't solve the problem. I didn't like studying as well because I never had these gadgets. I only had it in Form 3. So it was
Oh,
only in Form 3. I never studied, but I don't know why I could pass.
yeah.
So Form 3 was a bit late, because
So from
Form
three,
3
you were
was,
still in
yeah.
US?
No,
No.
I came back in US standard 3, but
Oh,
standard 2, but because
oh,
because I didn't know that the national language was Bahasa Malaysia. I was only taught at home to speak English and Kelantanese. So I thought Kelantanese was Malay. So me and my brother, we had a hard time, understanding the proper national language. So but I came back in standard 2, but my brother, who had to sit for the national exam, he had a hard time. But because teachers were so much better then, they were friends. Teachers when I was small, they're very strict. You see, so I never did like school. I never did like school because I couldn't see. But I still had to study. But I only scored for English papers. But for maths, the teaching subjects, I just couldn't understand. I just didn't like school. So I don't know how I survived, but I survived. And when it came to secondary school, still Form 1, Form 2, I didn't like studying. But I paid attention. But when it came to exams, I studied, but I only studied because of the exams. So came Form 3, only I could get, gadgets. So I could see better, and the teachers were a little bit more understanding. I was sitting in front one day, this particular subject, geography. Oh, geography! I just really don't like geography. So
Again.
the teacher was teaching coordinates. The coordinates.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she asked. She was, teachers were asking me question, and I stood up. I said, I don't know. I said, what? I Yeah. And she said, what? I said, I'm sorry, I don't know. And my friend had to. I had a good buddy next to me. She was the one who gave me answers. So
Oh,
yeah, so it was pretty bad. I didn't like school, but I managed. I don't know why. I think because of God's grace. And I was such a goody goody. I'm just saying that I managed to pass through SPM. SPM is Form 5. SRP was Form 3. So I don't know. I think because one thing you need to know, when God takes a lot from you, He gives a lot more in other ways. So our memory is very powerful. I must say that I'm not just talking about myself, but most of us, because we can only rely on hearing, on our senses, on how we feel, the aura. When we speak to someone, the aura of the person talking, the aura, the magnetic of the person when on the phone when we speak. So that alerts us on dangers. That alert us, okay, be careful with this person. I do not know how to explain this, but it is in us. So, for example, if I were to cross the street, I mean, how can I see, moving objects? Of course, I can see moving objects. I can never see the people driving it. What about motor cars, motorcycles? So our hearing helps us to stay alert. Okay, but of course, it would be so much nicer or so much better if someone say, Maizan, let's cross the road together. You see, the stress is lesser. But with all that I'm telling you, with all, what Auntie Shiha has just explained, we cannot see well, but we can see. You see, we can see. You've got to know us better to feel and to be trust. To hold trust on that. So does this mean that we cannot do anything? Wrong. We can do almost anything that even people without albinism can do. Like, for example, I can't open my eyes when it's too glaring, but I was in the school band for 5 years and I played the drums.
Oh,
I was in mini skirts. I had to kawat. What, how do you say kawat in English? We had to
Parade,
march.
parade, parade,
Yeah,
march,
so
parade. Mhm.
we need to march. We need to stand under the hot sun for 1 to 2 hours because we had to prepare ourselves for Merdeka Day. So yeah, I played the clarinet for 1 year because I couldn't sight read. I used to play the piano, but because when the notes get smaller, when we get to grade two, grade three, I stopped. But then I didn't know that was play by ear. So that's one. So back to Pancharagam. I was in the school band because after all, the condition that we are in, it doesn't define us. It doesn't define who we are. It doesn't define whether we are not able to do like anybody else. No, it's albinism is albinism, and albinism, with so many people having it, everybody has different attitude, different background, different philosophies and beliefs. So the one thing, that had made me come this far is actually determination, perseverance, hard work. Okay, hard work and tears. And behind a beautiful smile hides a lot of pain. So it's a lot of hard work. Even working life, I'm a lawyer, I'm a qualified lawyer, and I'm proud to say that. Okay, not because I want to boast, but because most of us, as with any other persons with disabilities, the stigma in society is that we're second class citizens. We're never able to achieve at the same par with people without albinism. We're always, yeah, cakap banyak. Yes.
sama-sama. Maybe it's echoing. Just continue. Dr.
Oh,
Miss
okay.
Faizal.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the stigma. So we've got to work
Mm,
very hard, very very hard
mm,
to be at par. Even until now, although we do good work, and I must say some of us really do good work. You can ask around who is Maizan is in the industry. Uh, you know, we're still, she can't see well. So that's always uh lingering, in our ears. Yeah, but that shouldn't at all uh, degrade,
yeah.
us as a person, because right now, the security industry is an all men industry, and I had to take over it in 2018 because my dad is ill, and all my employees now are men, security guards, Nepalis, and locals. And I've been handling it all by myself. So, I mean, to me, I really don't know at what point we are in this webinar. I really don't want to talk so much. There's so many things to share. I would love to share,
Oh, I
but
want.
yeah. So,
Sorry, but
Okay.
you were talking.
Can I
okay.
add? Can I add to that? Can I add to
Yeah,
that,
sure.
Zanura? Right. So when we talk about blind, because Maizan said just now that they're almost blind, they can have like, in my research again, I'm talking based on data. So on average, they have a
Research.
vision of 24 upon 60. Yeah, 24 upon 60 means that if a normal person can see an object at a distance of 60 meters clearly, they can only be able to see that at the distance of 24 meters from the object. So that's how it reads, yeah? If I have a vision of 6 upon 6, meaning at the distance of 6 meter, I can see that thing clearly, right, yeah? So by then, they are supposed to be labeled as legally blind. She's a lawyer, and with that vision,
Yeah.
they are legally blind. But to our standard, a blind people shouldn't be able to see anything, because blind means they shouldn't be seeing anything, but they are people who can actually see shapes, but they can't see the detail. They can
Yes.
see, yeah, they can see motor car, they
Yes.
can see a bicycle, but they can't see the detail of the object. Yeah, so they are actually
Yes.
sandwiched
Yeah.
between the normal people and the blind people. So that is another, we
Yeah.
call a bad scenario. Yeah, something like crucial for them.
Yeah.
People might think that they are able to see, but they are actually legally blind. So as a parent, if I have a child with albinism, which school should I send them to? That's a big question, right? Which school?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
going to send them to School of the Blind, or I would like to include them into the what we call the mainstream? Yeah, just like the ordinary school. So there are some of my respondents who are PWA. They are sent to School of the Blind. Quite a number, kan, Maizan? They have been stationed
Yeah.
in School of the Blind. But the thing
Yes.
is, for the blind people,
Yeah.
they have a very sensitive fingers that they should be identified the braille what we call letters. So they know the dots. This is A, this is B, this is C by reading the dots, the braille, yeah, the braille. But for these people with albinism, they are not that
Yes.
sensitive because they are able to see. So they are seeing the dot as dots. They didn't see dots as A, B, C, and so on. So they're having problem, right? They're having problem. So if you ask me what is inclusion, I would say that because albinism, they come from a big spectrum of albinism. Because you mentioned just now that we have three, no, right now it's actually we say that we have 7 categories of albinism, not just one or just three, but we have 7 now.
Um.
Because we classify it according to region. We have Japanese, we have, because they are actually based on their genetic condition, yeah, genetic, how their alleles in their chromosome play about of the degree of their vision and so on and so forth. Yeah? Therefore, we have a certain degree of skin color, certain degree of hair color, certain degree of eyesight. Yeah? So if let's say that we have this big spectrum, so how do we to be informed that which school are we going to send our kids to? Right, yeah. So as piece of advice, I would say that you have a look at the condition of your child, making sure that you go to seek some medical advice, yeah, from a very knowledgeable doctor. Sad to say, Maizan, sad to say, not all doctors know about albinism. Not
Yes.
all doctors know about
Yeah.
albinism. Yeah, sad to say.
Very
Yeah,
true.
they
Very true.
ask this question. Yeah, okay, this is something silly, but they ask, how long have you having this condition? Come on, a doctor asks you
Yeah.
such question. How long are you having?
Exactly.
How long have you been having this condition? Right? They should be able to
Yes.
know that they have it since birth.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the condition that come with them. Come along.
Yeah.
It's a full package. It's a full package. It doesn't come afterwards. Yeah. So therefore, if you think that your kids they are able to be in the mainstream, the school with the mainstream, go ahead. Let them mingle around. Let them feel like they are a normal people, so that they can turn their disability into their own special ability characteristic. I think they should be able to know, knowing that they are having disabilities, they will turn their disabilities into abilities to their own perspective. Yeah, and
Yes.
with the good guidance from the parents, parents play the biggest role in making sure that the
So,
students, their kids are supposed to be enhanced. Yeah, not just that. That's why we're having this for KLS ASA. They have like a almost like a webinar every month
Mm,
to
yeah.
give
yeah,
to share more like
share.
a sharing experience, the parents to the young parents, right? The sisters to the young brothers and sisters. We have this good rapport to ensure that they won't experience of the bad
Nampak?
experience that we went through. So hopefully that
Mm,
they get
Yes.
a smooth setting compared to, so that they don't waste time on trying to get solutions to these to overcome their disabilities. Yeah. So by having like seniors, we call it brothers and sister, older brothers and sister, so that will be a good assistance for the younger generation. And with this, we know that is something like keturunan, inheritary. So we have to make sure that they know about um, how they actually the kids will get this condition. Yeah. So the parents should go to the what we call genetic counseling to ensure that I wouldn't say that I wouldn't like more PWA to be born, yeah, but we hope that we minimalize the number of PWA, because those are the things that we should be able to do. But we know that when love is in the air, when love is in the air, so regardless who you are, you surely would like to get married to whoever, yeah. So the thing is, there are a real life story, yeah, in USA, when knowing that if I am PWA, PWA, and my boyfriend is also PWA, definitely that I have kids, all my kids will be PWA. But we do have like few families in US, due to love, they say they should be okay because they went through the life, and they should be able to guide their kids because they are PWAs. But I think as a scientist, I would love if they are actually equipped with the knowledge. Sorry, Maizan, to hinder, yeah, to hinder. I mean, it yeah, it's sad to be in the
Mm,
condition. It's
yeah.
sad to be in the condition. Yeah.
yeah,
So
understand.
therefore, genetic counseling is very, very important for those who are in the journey of for matrimony. Yeah. All right.
I mean, okay, this might be a bit random. I want to ask about the stigma. The word. I mean, okay, I'm so sorry. The word albino.
Yes,
It's lingering around surroundings. People use that word, so there's more to it actually, right? There's more to
yes.
the word. So, Miss Maza, how do you feel about the word albino, or is it offensive or considered dehumanizing to you?
Um, okay, because albino is used
Yeah,
since God knows when, right? It's been existing since time immemorial. People still use it until today, although the more diplomatic or the more sensible term to use is persons with albinism,
yeah,
persons with
abbreviating it.
yeah, a syndrome. It's because the dictionary defines an albino to be the same level as animals and humans. So that's why because I'm actually the representative to the global albinism community representing Southeast Asia. We had our first meeting in 2020. So we kind of agree that we can not use Bino. Yeah, so we will use PWAs. Yeah, so that's why, because we do not want to be, as the same level as with
Animal.
due respect to God's creatures yang lain. Yeah. So it's to me, people still use that, but the proper diplomatic term is PWA, even with disabilities, persons with disabilities. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you know, guys.
Yeah.
Alright,
Again,
Alia?
because the word. the word albus, yes, Zanura, the word
Mm-hmm.
albus,
Yeah.
albino, derived from the word albus. Albus
Yeah.
means white.
Oh.
When people
Yeah.
are referring to white, for the kids, they always relate the white with Casper. You know the character
Yeah.
Casper.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Casper
yeah.
is
That's
is-
my childhood
Casper.
movie.
So they make
yeah.
fun of the word white means Casper. Yeah, white means
Uh,
Casper. Casper is a shy,
Oh.
yeah, is a shy. So they wouldn't like to be relate to that kind of character. Yeah. So this is
Oh.
one way of a tender way of saying that please do not call them albino, because albino is like a syndrome, yes, syndrome young. So call them with people with
person.
albinism. Yeah, so they might not turn to be white, because
Mhm.
as you
Yeah.
all know just now, there'll be a wide range of skin color, wide range of hair color, so they are not
Mm-hmm.
actually purely white. Yeah, so they may have at the two extreme. Yeah, so therefore
Yeah.
the word albino is not actually appropriate to be
Yeah.
labeled to a person with albinism. Yeah.
All right. So from now on, you guys you need to address properly persons with albinism. All right, Alia. Sure.
Okay, just wanted to confirm. Do you guys hear me?
Yes. Can.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay,
can clearly
because
hear
I'm
you.
having like internet connection just now. All right, so regarding
Yeah.
all the input, it is very interesting, and thank you, Miss Maizan and Dr. Maishiha, for the eye-opening input that
Yeah.
all of us, regarding your personal experience as a person with albinism, and also the scientific facts about this. So, to continue, due to the, I think, every. Due to the time restriction, I'm so sorry. We are going to
Yeah.
jump forward to the last questions
Sad.
for today's webinar. I'm so sorry. So, Dr. Mike, do you think it is
Yeah.
necessary to include people with albinism in one of the categories of PWD, particularly in Malaysia?
Mm-hmm.
And what your stand on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the moment in Maizan, we had our last conference seminar with what we call association with rare diseases. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that is of a proper platform, rather than you group them as in a group of people with disability. If we call it rare diseases, even though it's not a disease, but it's a rare condition, I think
Yeah.
a better platform or a better way to cluster them or to include them. Because when they
Sorry,
have this group,
Doctor Mai, you were
uh,
lagging just now.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
can
it's
you repeat?
clear.
You can,
Now clear.
yeah,
We have two
now clear.
things
Like.
here. We have two
Not yet.
yeah, we have two things here. Because previously that we have a conference or seminar
Mm-hmm.
or organized by Rare Disease Association, where I think Maizan and her colleague would be preferred to be placed in this group, rather than if they are placed in group of people with disabilities.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, because when you class a person, them in a person with disability, is correct that they do have like
Yeah.
disabilities, but at the moment I think it's a matter of attitude, it's a matter of a strong will. They should be able to
Mm-hmm.
overcome with the understanding and also intervention. They'll be like a normal person. Yeah, but if you have like so if you place them into disabilities, at I think towards the end, you'll be labeled as person with disabilities. Yeah. But if you place them in rare diseases, doesn't go into disability. Because rare
Mm-hmm.
diseases doesn't mean that you are not brilliant, doesn't mean that you are handicapped. So I think they make a wise decision when they all right, yeah, when they would like to be included in the group of rare diseases rather than group of people with disability. Am I right, Maizan?
Can I just
Am I right, Maizan?
Antisha, I thank you for that opinion. Can I just say something on that issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, just for the benefit of Alia and Zainura, actually, the rare diseases, there's another particular group. rare disorders. I don't of
Mm.
course rare disease is by history it's named as diseases, which I personally do not like to label them as diseases. It's just disorders. So where actually albinism has so many groups that we can cite to. We are rare, so that's where we belong to rare conditions. We have eyesight problems, so that's where we belong to PWDs, which is disabilities, because we fall under the category of eyesight, low vision, penglihatan. And but we I honestly we're everywhere, because when we talk about the blind, we're not that blind, so we cannot be grouped into total blind group, where there's because they have a bigger group. The Malaysian Association of the Blind has so many groups, but for us, nobody represents low vision plus albinism, plus it is a rare condition, and plus we're not terminally ill until tomorrow you'll be going off to see your creator. So we have so many groups that we can be part of. So everyone's pulling us here and pulling us there. So to relate to Auntie Shihah punya statement, I think right now even the global albinism community, we have not disregarded rare disorders. It's just that back to the question from Alia and Zainura, should we be included in a separate category? When I referred this to the higher management, they said yes, because we are different, and it is because of the people in Africa threatened by death because of their condition. The United Nations are calling all states and countries around the world to make it a separate category because of the killings. I'm not sure whether Alia and Zainura and
Yeah.
everybody else I know. We're very fortunate to live in Malaysia, but in other countries like Africa, they are threatened. Their right to live are threatened like on a daily basis because of albinism. So that's why there is a call that albinism be included as a separate category from the seven categories that we have now under PWDs. I'm not sure whether I'm addressing properly
Yeah,
Auntie Syah punya question. So that's
yeah,
that's that's my
yeah,
that's my
yeah.
take. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah. So
I would like to elaborate on the last statement from Maizan. This is
yeah,
something what we call a taboo. Yeah,
yes,
for the people in Zimbabwe, Tanzania, yeah, they have this kind of like having PWA individual in your family is a taboo. At the same time, the body organs are actually used for some I mean, for some cure. They believe that the organ is actually meant for some cure to other diseases. So they are bound to be
yeah,
killed. They are bound to be murdered, right? But we are
yeah,
fortunate to be in Malaysia. And another
Mm.
thing is that they might think that PWA are bringing contagious diseases,
yeah,
so they wouldn't like
yeah,
to be in among the PWA. So you might think like they
yeah,
are contagious. And therefore, they are not allowed to work in a profession where with mingle around with people. So there's a
yeah,
no in restaurant. There's no in the front desk. So this actually a condition that I mean it's not fair for PWA. Even though they are good, they are certified, they are having good certificate, but they are not allowed to work because of the misunderstanding of
yeah.
the PWA condition among the community. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if I can just add, if you ask me personally, if there is a call from the government to have a separate category of albinism, I would by all means welcome it, because firstly, I have members from the society who says that when they go to see the doctors to assess most of them will say you have other you cannot get this okay card because live life with other categories because they don't understand. So when they don't understand about albinism and the condition, I have so many conditions where when it comes to employment is the biggest issue in the society because people think that we cannot see, hence we cannot work, especially those who are seeking permanent jobs in the government positions. When you're supposed to assess to confirm yourself in the government sector, doctors will normally say she has albinism, he has albinism, hence he may not be able to work. So when you're not able to work, other things will follow. You're not able to earn, you're not able to even provide for yourself. So I would really, really push for a separate category for albinism on the fact that it saves us a lot of trouble explaining, because even doctors doesn't even don't even know that we have the condition. One, number two, we can do work even with the albinism condition. Okay, I just want to explain for everyone here. You may see that we cannot see, but and then how do we get, where do we draw the line? Where does justice come in? Where do you place us? How do you see us? How we supposed to live, a decent life? How we supposed to support us and support our own family? But I would like to just say at this forum, we live like anyone else. We drive, we have families. I have a driving license. This is bukti. Okay. There's so many professions that we've been in. There's Dr. Sherry Parker from Australia. She's a qualified doctor. There's so many doctors in America. There's so many. There's models. There's so many
Nurses.
of, yeah, yeah, and there's models. There's PhD holders. There's engineers who have to actually look at details. So how do we go about this? Let me just share a bit about how I do my work. Obviously, it takes a lot of effort. Okay, lawyers have to read a lot. I say this a lot. Okay, so but I'm a corporate lawyer, so corporate lawyer do a lot of agreements. So how do I go about doing this? Honestly, my clients never say that, oh, let's not take Maizan, she can't see. No, I've never had that situation. My life since young until now, it progresses well because I work hard towards it. How do I go and see my clients with the kind of eyes that I have, and how do I build trust in you to believe that I can deliver good work? So what I do, for example, this is just among all the creative ways that we work. I have two agreements, but by now a lot of things are in my head. Okay, so normally I would take the normal agreements in size 12. That's for the clients. So when it comes to me explaining the agreement to clients, I would have a 16 size font next to me so that I can refer. So normally we have to prepare more. Studying wise, let me tell you how I studied in IIUM.
Yeah,
Okay, just one. I know I'm taking so much time. Just an example. When but
yeah.
before that there were no internet. Books were not systematically in systems. So normally when you guys when there's a uh, oh no, there's WhatsApp coming in. I'm so sorry. When,
The
okay,
vibration.
okay,
It's,
okay,
it's,
correct.
it's,
Okay. Normally, right, when the last day of the exam, you guys would normally go and celebrate, right? What I do is I would after habis je. Uh, when the exam finishes, do you know where I go? I go to the library, or I rush back to go and see my seniors so that I can take her notes. I photocopy and read up. Before any semester, yeah, I photocopy, I would enlarge it, I would start reading. So I would be going to the library because why? Because all the books are neatly on the shelves. If it's like
Arrange.
everywhere, it's so hard. It yeah, it's already arranged. But even then, cases are based on years. You've got 1971, 72, 73. So how do I find 1980 case? I would start from one end. Okay, this is 1975. So I have to count the books. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's hard work. Okay. I hope I hope that with my sharing, the people who are given more in this temporal world, that you will do more, not just for yourselves, but for people like us. Okay, there's a lot of effort that I had to put in.
Yeah.
I've got to go and see lecturers and explain. I would have to tell them, and can you please not write on the whiteboard because I can't see. Even when I'm sitting right in front, I can't see what she's writing. I would say, Madam, can you please say it out? Or if there's a very difficult or very unique case, can you spell it out? So yeah, that's one other thing. Another thing is before going to class, I would have read something, at least the outline, the course outline, to at least know what I'm gonna study. And the cases, the names of the cases, I would at least know. And when lecturers speak it out, oh, okay, this case. So that's it's sheer hard work. And I can't drive then, you see, and many have cars now. So I'm sure Zainura, Alia, I'm sure you guys can do so much better than me. Yeah, so
I,
yeah. Okay, I I
mm.
talked too much.
No, it was very informative. There was a lot of
It's about you. It's about PWA. So what I'm doing here is
um,
I'm actually supporting them with a what we call with data. So to signify of
Later.
so-called the disabilities or problems issues faced by them. Yeah. So it's about them.
Yeah.
So I've been like with them for the past 24 years, and I might say that there are a little bit of improvement in the society based on the perception. I think right now we have gone through the awareness era. I think most of us
Yes.
now know PWA, and they are
Yes.
very famous people, and they've been like screened over some programs on TV. There are lots of
Yes.
media, yeah, to rectify on all the misconception on PWA. That's one thing. And the teachers, those who are graduated from UPSI, they'll be like, I think for the past years, we have two conferences. Yeah, because we
Yeah.
expose our future teachers to PWA. So
Yes.
hoping that they'll be the dutas, the ambassadors, yeah, to deliver this knowledge to their colleagues in school later on when they be the teachers in school. Yeah, so that is how UPSI and KLSAA we co-organize two seminars already. So that is where they get to know Dr. Sherry Parker, they get to know experts on PWA.
Yes.
Yeah? And that's how they get related to the global alliance of albinism. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that give us a place in the albinism map of the world. So they know the existence of the association of albinism in Malaysia. And we are fortunate enough that the representation come from Malaysia, which is Maizan. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or such a nice input and interesting
that
input.
was
I
very,
think
yeah,
Have you
it
got
was very
enough? Have you all
informative,
got
right?
enough?
It was very informative. We get to know how, as an individual with albinism, got to live their life, how they um, study with their education and all. It was so informative. It was very interesting. And I look at the comment section
Thank
in Facebook. Yeah, there's like so interesting and all. So it was very
Oh
nice.
gosh.
Yeah, I look at the
Thank
Facebook
you.
comment section just now. Yeah.
Oh,
So
really? Oh,
Maybe
okay. Oh, I
maybe we could have
huh? Again,
okay,
again.
I'm sorry. Maybe I could show the slide that prepared
Yeah, the
by Dr.
picture.
Mai for a little bit for 1 minute, I guess. Wait a minute, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna.
for the like
I
the
hope I
pictures.
didn't
Because
make
I
a fool out of myself.
Uh,
So forget
uh,
about the slides.
yeah, I
Yeah,
just
this
show
I
the
think that you can.
uh
just show the
This
picture.
is the
Just show the
one. This is the
picture.
first time. This is the first time that we have.
ooh
We were privileged to be on air, kan Maizan? We were invited by
ooh
Astro Awani.
Yeah.
So those were the days that
Yeah.
Astro Awani was the first TV station to focus on albinism. Yeah.
wow, it's such a wow. That's
So
Mm.
these are the conferences that we co-organize, right?
Hmm.
alright. Interesting.
All these
Okay, I think.
programs. So these are our rock. Yeah? The
Oh, oh, this
Yeah.
this.
Oh,
these are our brothers.
that's our tagline. Our tagline is Beyond White.
Oh, the
And
tagline
Yeah,
you
is
got
beyond
the
what?
beyond what.
yeah, that's our tagline. Beyond we're beyond white.
Okay, so
It's such
this was
interesting.
like previously people have certain misconception about albino.
Yeah.
So if you remember, I don't know whether you've read it somewhere, because there is a village in Kuala Pilah, is Senaling, yeah, Senaling, when they have lots of people with albinism there, because they are being in a small community, they and intermarriage, and therefore they be like more people of albinism in that kampung, and they've been in that kampung because of the stigma, and they become isolated. So that is actually an area where we have the most PWA in Malaysia. This is actually due to the
Mm,
bad connotation.
Intermarriage.
Where
Yeah, and
in
intermarriage.
Sabah, yes, in Sabah, we have a good family that there are a few family members who are also albino, but because of they are born in a high rank
not
family.
in a
So being an albinism is a privilege in that community. Yeah, so this is actually now in opposite, very extreme. In Senaling, they become badly stigmatized, whereas in Sabah, in Kota Kinabalu, there's a small place there. They are being
Oh,
highly looked at for these
oh,
PWA people. Yeah,
organism.
right.
Oh,
Can we browse through?
oh,
Can we browse?
that's
There's
true.
one that I would like
Alright, okay, okay.
you all to have a look. Okay, this is again a misconception. So it has been rectified by the Ustad there. And this is
Oh,
Asfar. Yeah, Asfar.
oh, this is
He is now a
Asfa.
PhD holder. And
yeah,
he
she's
also
a
a
famous model.
model. Yeah,
Yeah.
Asfar. He is a PhD holder. Yeah, right. Then what else?
Alright, well.
Then this one, this is
Oh,
Maizan.
Oh, that's
Miss
oh,
me.
yeah,
Tawar.
that's why
Yeah, that's
That was
okay.
when I graduated.
I don't know whether she has the paper cutting with her or not.
Oh, I still have.
But I have
oh, yeah.
This is
have
my
Oh,
one.
wait.
Yeah.
graduation.
So that
Oh, your graduation.
Yeah.
that's another I call it high achiever
Graduate.
of PWA. So these are all an evidence showing that they are not lacking in what we call in they
Anyway.
are with high uh, they are intelligent, they
Yeah, they
are
can do so much more.
highly educated. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Then what else do I have there? Right. You
Okay,
just need
I
to
think
browse.
that's
Okay, this
all.
one, this is
Okay.
something that I would like to share, but later
Yeah.
we can have another session. We can have another,
Oh,
right.
I would
Okay.
love to. So,
All
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
to wrap up, I'm going to say thank you to Dr. Mai and Miss Maizan for the
yeah.
clarification and explanation regarding the curiosity of our viewers and us as
Mm.
well. So that remarks our ending for today's webinar on disability inclusion, the perspective of person with albinism versus the public perceptions. And thank you for sharing a little bit about your life experience, Miss Maizan, as
Thank you.
a person with albinism, and as well as your informative input, Dr. Mai. I hope everyone who's here, who watching this webinar, might learn something
Yeah.
or grab something on how people with albinism live their life and be aware of how they got this condition scientifically. And I think we as a human being need to be tolerate and understand each other and aid someone's concern so that we all can live happily and harmoniously as a whole community,
Yeah.
regardless whatever condition you have. Just be nice to one another, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
all people to be inclusion. So sadly, this is the end of our webinar. Thank you very much, Ms. Weiser, and thank you very much, Dr. Mai. But before I forget, we would like to appreciate our audiences who bear with us from the beginning until the end. And we would like to state that if throughout our webinar, we have or may have offended Ms. Maizan or Dr. Mai or anyone in general, we sincerely apologize from our heart. So may Allah bless all of you and Dr. Mai and Miss Maiza for helping us with that webinar.
Thank
Until we
you.
meet again in the future. So hereby,
Yes.
we
Thank
communication students of
Bye.
IIUM
Salam.
would like would like to thank you all of you. Assalamualaikum and good night from us, Nur Zainura.
and me,
And
Alicia Zoni. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum,
Bye.
everyone.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you
Bye. Thank you very much for the
everyone.
invitation. Thank you very much.
thank
Okay.
you.
It
Thank
was it is
you.
an
Okay.
honor.
All the
Yeah.
best.
Thank you.